My name is Cole Turner. I'm 27 years old, and I've been wearing a badge for 6 months. 27 weeks, if you want to be exact. Long enough to stop shaking every time I hit the siren, but not long enough to learn how to sleep more than 4 hours at a stretch. I graduated from the police academy in Austin, Texas, with honors. Top of my class in shooting, near the top in physical training. My instructors said I'd make a hell of a cop. I believed them. I still want to believe them. But tonight, as I sit behind the wheel of my patrol Ford Explorer, pulled over on the shoulder of a road 20 minutes from the station, with a young man in the back seat who's looking at me in the rearview mirror with an expression so self-assured it borders on boredom, I don't know what I believe anymore. It all started 6 months ago, when I got offered a position with the Albuquerque Police Department. New Mexico. Sun, desert, old churches, hot air balloons at sunrise. And also, one of the highest rates of drug-related violence in the country. But I was young, ambitious, and I figured if I could make it here, I could make it anywhere. I moved my wife, Megan, and our daughter out here. A little girl, just a tiny thing, 3 months old at the time. We rented a small house in a neighborhood our precinct captain described as not the worst. Megan hung white curtains on the windows, put the crib in the little bedroom, and I'd look at them and think, this is my life. I'm going to protect them. That's what good cops do. For 4 months, I rode with a partner. His name was Danny. Danny had been on the force for 8 years. He knew every corner of this city, every small-time dealer, every boss. He taught me the main thing, how to read the street, how to sense danger 5 seconds before it materializes. And he also taught me that in this city, there are certain names you're better off not hearing, and certain faces you're better off not seeing. You're gonna see a $50,000 car driving through a neighborhood where people can barely make rent, Danny used to say, sipping coffee in the patrol car at 3 in the morning. And you're gonna pretend you didn't see it. Got it? I didn't get it then. I thought it was cynicism. The kind of experience that had killed his faith in the job. I thought I'd be different. Today, I understand that Danny was just trying to save me from the moment I'm in right now. It had been a long day. I'd started my shift at 7 in the morning, and in 11 hours, we'd handled 2 petty thefts at a supermarket, a domestic disturbance in a trailer park that almost turned into a knife fight, and a report of suspicious activity near a warehouse on the outskirts that turned out to be just a bunch of kids drinking beer. By 6 in the evening, I was drained. Danny slapped me on the shoulder back at the garage. Go home, Turner. Get some sleep. Megan's probably waiting with dinner. I nodded. Got into my patrol car. We were riding solo now. The department was short-staffed, and command decided I was ready. If only they knew. I pulled out onto Central Avenue, the main artery that runs through the whole city east to west. The sun was setting, painting the mountains orange and purple, and for a moment I thought maybe this world wasn't so bad. I was about to turn onto my street when I saw it. A silver Cadillac Escalade, parked in front of a boarded-up gas station. The place had been closed for many months after the 3rd robbery. Inside, I saw the light of a flashlight and a figure in light clothing. Logic told me they weren't homeless people looking for a place to sleep, so I killed my headlights and pulled up quietly. When I got out and approached to the entrance, I saw a young man emerging from the broken glass doors, talking on the phone and holding some package in his hand. He was about 19, maybe 20. Expensive designer tracksuit, the kind that cost more in this neighborhood than most people make in a month. He turned. And I saw his face. Young, clean-shaven, with regular features that belonged to someone who'd never known hunger or fear. But his eyes had something else. Calm. Absolute, unsettling calm. The kind that belongs to a person who knows nothing can touch him. Police, I said, my hand on my holster. Show me your hands. He smiled. Not scared, not nervous. Smiled like I was a waiter who dared to knock without being summoned. He said to his interlocutor on the phone, "Wait a minute, Albuquerque Police Department wants something from me." "It's all good, officer," he said. His voice was low, calm, with a slight accent I'd heard around here from families that had lived in the area for generations. Just getting some air. What's in your hand? He glanced at his hand, like he'd forgotten it was there. And it was a big stack of bills tied with a rubber band and wrapped in transparent film. $100 bills, as far as I could tell in the fading light. This? He looked at the package, then at me. Personal property. Slowly put the phone and package on the ground, raise your hands and turn to face the wall, I told him. He sighed, like I'd asked him to do something unbearably tedious. He told his interlocutor, who was still on the line, if I don't call back in 5 minutes, reach the right person. He set the pack and phone on the ground and stood up next to the wall. Are you carrying a weapon? No. I ran my hand over his lower back and felt something. I carefully pulled out a pistol from under his jacket. Glock 19. Serial number filed off. The money, maybe 40, maybe 50,000. More in that single stack than I made in a year. You're under arrest, I said, calling for backup. And that's when it all started. I handcuffed the guy and sat him in the back seat of my car and was just about to take a look at his Escalade and the abandoned gas station when my cell phone rang. Turner, the dispatcher, Sam, said. His voice was tight in a way I hadn't heard before. You're on Central? Yeah. I've got a detainment. Suspect with a weapon and a large amount of cash. A pause. A long one. Listen, man. I got a call. From upstairs. Upstairs? Sam, I've got a weapon with a filed-off serial number and tens of thousands in cash. This is a serious collar. I know. But, you're gonna get calls. A lot of calls. I'm just warning you. Be careful. He hung up. I looked at the kid at the back seat. He was smiling. It's starting, he said. The calls? I didn't answer. The second call was from Danny. Cole, he said. His voice was low, muffled, and I heard him take a drag on a cigarette. You on Central? Yeah. Let him go. I froze. What? You heard me. Let the kid go. Give him back the gun, give him back the money, tell him it was a mistake, and go home. Danny, he had a pistol with a filed-off serial number and 50,000 in cash. That's Javier Mendoza's son, Danny cut in. You heard that name? Javier Mendoza. He controls the southern part of the state. All the trade runs through him. And the kid you've got on the side of the road right now, that's Javier Jr., they call him Javi. My chest tightened. I don't care whose son he is. The law is the law. The law? Danny laughed, but there was no humor in it. Cole, you've been here 6 months. You don't know how this works. If you take him to the station, before you even get there, the chief is going to call you. Then the mayor. Then maybe even the governor. And every single one of them is going to tell you the same thing, let him go. I can't just. You can. And you will. If you want to see your daughter grow up. He hung up. I stood there, staring at my phone. The sun had almost set, and the dusk was thickening around me, filling the air with something sticky and heavy. The kid in my back seat was watching me in the rearview. He wasn't smiling now. He was just watching. Calm. Certain. My phone rang again. The precinct captain's number. I answered. Officer Turner, Captain Harrison's voice was level, official, but there was steel underneath. I'm aware of your situation. Sir, I have a suspect in possession of a firearm without documentation and a large amount of cash. This is a legal detainment. I'm not arguing the legality, Turner. But I am ordering you to stand down. Release the detainee. Return the seized property. My mouth went dry. Sir, that's wrong. Harrison was quiet for a moment. You're a young officer, Turner. You've got a fine career ahead of you. I've heard about your academy record. You're talented. But talent without judgment is a weapon in a child's hands. Think about your family. Think about your future. If you do what I'm asking, this incident disappears. You'll get a promotion. Maybe a transfer to investigations. That's what you wanted, isn't it? I wanted to be a good cop. A good cop is a live cop, Turner. A good cop goes home at night. You've got 15 minutes to decide. In 15 minutes, I'm sending a unit to pick up the detainee. And if he's not released by then, you'll answer for the consequences. He hung up. The cabin was quiet, just the engine idling softly, and somewhere in the distance sirens wailed, but whether they were getting closer or farther away, I couldn't tell. The kid in the back spoke up. "You know, officer," he said, his voice calm, almost friendly, "my father respects people who know how to negotiate. He doesn't hold a grudge against someone who makes the smart choice." I looked at him in the mirror. "You were coming from a boarded-up gas station with a gun and $50,000 in cash. And you want me to pretend I didn't see anything?" Javi shrugged. "I was taking a walk. I like evening walks. The gun was for self-defense. The money, pocket cash. Nothing criminal. The serial number was filed off. Old pistol. Carried it for protection. You knew how many dangerous people are around here, you'd carry one too." I gripped the steering wheel. My fingers ached with tension. "If I take you to the station, your father can't do anything." Javi smiled. This time, there was something predatory in it. "You really believe that?" "Officer, half the people at the station get money from my father. The other half take orders from people who do. You think anything's going to happen to me when we get there? I'll be out in 15 minutes. And well, you might get moved to the night shift in the worst district. Or you might get fired. Or worse." He leaned forward as far as the cuffs would let him, and his voice dropped. "But there's another option. You let me go now. I tell my father you did the right thing. And then, life gets real good for you. Promotion. Money. Safety for your family. You've got a family, right? A pretty young wife and maybe small kids?" I spun around. "Don't you talk about my family." Javi nodded his head conciliatorily. "I'm just saying. I've got a family too. I understand. We all want to protect the people we love. The question is how you do it." I turned away. Stared at the road ahead. The streetlights were starting to come on one by one, tracing a long ribbon of asphalt that led to the station. 20 minutes away, if I didn't hurry. But I could turn right, 2 streets over, and be home in 5 minutes. I pictured Megan. She was probably feeding Emma right now, sitting in the chair we bought at a garage sale, humming the lullaby her grandmother used to sing. She was waiting for me. She was always waiting. I pictured walking through the front door, kissing her forehead, picking up my daughter, breathing in her smell, milk, baby shampoo, something so pure and defenseless it hurt my chest. And then I pictured what would happen if I took Javi to the station. I could get fired. They could make sure I never worked in this state again. But that wasn't the worst part. The worst part was what would happen to them when I wasn't there to protect them. I'd heard the stories. Cops who tried to do their jobs. Families that ended up on lists. Houses that burned in the night. Cars that never made the turn. I wasn't afraid for myself. I was afraid for Megan. For Emma. But if I let him go, if I did what Danny and the captain and all those people sitting in their offices, so sure I'd cave, were asking me to do, what then? Then I'd become one of them. One of the ones who looked the other way. Who took the money? Who let people like Javi do whatever they wanted because they had power? Then every time I put on the uniform, I'd see not a cop in the mirror, but a man who'd broken his oath. But if I didn't let him go, if I drove to the station, wrote up the report, logged the gun and the money as evidence, what then? Then I'd do what I'd been trained to do. What the people who believed in the law expected me to do. And I could look my daughter in the eye when she grew up and tell her, your dad did the right thing. But would I live to see her grow up? I sat there, staring at the road. 20 minutes. The clock was down to 17. I remembered an instructor at the academy. He'd said once, a cop isn't just someone who wears a badge. A cop is someone who can look in the mirror every morning and not look away. Back then, I thought he was talking about courage. Now I understood he was talking about the price. I looked in the rear view. Javi was watching me. He wasn't smiling anymore. He was waiting. What's it going to be, officer? He asked. Smart or heroic? My phone rang again. Megan's number. I didn't pick up. I couldn't. Because I knew that if I heard her voice, I'd break. I'd do whatever she asked, even if she didn't say anything. She'd just ask, you coming home soon? And I'd say, yeah, soon. And I'd drive home. And everything would be fine. For us. But not for anyone else. The phone stopped. A text appeared on the screen. Cole, dinner's getting cold. Where are you? I put the phone down. And then I saw the headlights. In the distance, coming from the city. Getting closer. A patrol unit. The captain had said I had 15 minutes. I guess he decided not to take any chances. I had maybe 5 minutes left. Maybe less. I had to decide. I looked at the road to the left, toward the station. 20 minutes. To the right, home. 5 minutes. And straight ahead, the approaching patrol car. I gripped the wheel so hard my knuckles went white. Come on, officer, Javi said from the back. Don't make this difficult. I looked at him in the mirror. Then at the patrol car, a block away. Then at the road home. And I made my choice. I started the engine. Put it in gear. And turned the wheel. Right. But not toward home. I drove straight, toward the approaching patrol car. When we pulled up alongside each other, I saw Officer Morales behind the wheel. 15 years on the force. He looked at me. I looked at him. He rolled down his window. Turner, the captain said. I know what the captain said. I cut him off. But I've got a suspect in my vehicle for unlawful possession of a firearm, a weapon with a filed-off serial number, and a large amount of cash, likely proceeds from criminal activity. I'm heading to the station to process the arrest. If you want to escort me, be my guest. If not, get out of my way. Morales stared at me for a long moment. Then his gaze shifted to my back seat, where Javi sat. I could see the calculation in his eyes. The fear. And maybe, just maybe, something like respect. You're a fool, Turner, he said. Maybe. He was quiet for a moment. Then he shook his head, killed his lights, which he'd already switched on, and pulled aside, clearing the way. I hit the gas. The patrol car fell behind, and in seconds I was flying down Central Avenue toward the station. In the rear view, I watched Morales turn around and head the other way. Home, probably. Or to the captain. Javi was quiet in the back seat. For the first time all evening, he was quiet. I drove. 20 minutes. Every second felt like a heartbeat. I knew what was coming. The fallout. Internal affairs. Maybe termination. Maybe worse. I knew that when I got to the station, I wouldn't be met with applause. I'd be met with silence and looks that said, you did this, and now you're on your own. But I also knew that when I got home tonight, I'd be able to look Megan in the eye. I'd be able to hold Emma and tell her that tonight, her dad did what he was trained to do. What was right. And if I had to pay for that, I'd pay. Because if cops won't uphold the law, who will? I hit my lights. Blue strobes danced off the walls of the buildings we passed. People stepped out onto porches, watching, following with their eyes. I drove toward the station. And for the first time in a long time, I knew I was doing the right thing. 20 minutes. That's how long it took me to make a decision that would define the rest of my life. And I made it. Maybe tomorrow I'll be fired. Maybe in a week, Megan, Emma, and I will be packing our things and heading back to Texas, where I'll find work as a security guard at a supermarket or a clerk at a gun store. Maybe I'll never wear a uniform again. But tonight, I'm a cop. And I'm driving to the station. Not because I'm a hero. Not because I'm not afraid. I'm afraid. So afraid my hands are shaking on the wheel and there's a metallic taste in my mouth. But because if I don't do this tonight, then tomorrow I'll do something else. And the day after, something else. And one day, I'll wake up and realize I've become the very thing I hated. I choose to be who I am. Even if it costs me everything. Up ahead, the lights of the station came into view. I exhaled, gripped the wheel tighter, and pulled into the lot. Behind me, on the back seat, Javi Mendoza Jr. was staring at me with so much hatred I thought the glass might crack. But I didn't care. I killed the engine. Picked up the radio. Dispatch, this is Officer Turner. I'm at the station lot. I have a detainee for processing. Weapon and evidence in my possession. Requesting an investigator. A pause. A long one. So long I wondered if they'd cut me off. Then Sam's voice came through the speaker. And in his voice, beneath everything else, was something I hadn't heard from him in 4 months. Respect. Copy that, Officer Turner. Investigators on his way. I set down the radio, opened the door, and stepped out into the Albuquerque night. The sun was long gone, but the air still held the day's warmth. Somewhere in the distance, lights glowed in the mountains. And somewhere out there, in our little house with the white curtains, Megan was feeding Emma and waiting for me. Tonight, I'll be home late. But I'll be home. And I'll be able to look her in the eye. And that's the only thing that matters.